Title: The Siren's Call. The moon hung like a pale coin in the night sky, casting its ethereal light upon the vast expanse of the ocean below. The ship, a weathered vessel named the Leviathan, cut through the waves with an eerie grace, its sails billowing in the salty breeze. Captain Jacob Blackwood stood at the helm, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of the moon as he gazed out at the endless sea before him. It had been weeks since they set sail from the port town of Haven's Reach, bound for distant shores in search of fortune and adventure. But as the days passed and the ocean stretched out endlessly around them, a sense of unease began to settle over the crew. Rumors whispered among the sailors of strange sightings in the night, of shadowy figures darting beneath the waves, and of a haunting melody that seemed to drift across the water, luring men to their doom. But Captain Blackwood paid little heed to such tales, dismissing them as the fanciful imaginings of men driven mad by the isolation of the open sea. As the days turned to weeks, however, even the captain could not deny the growing sense of dread that hung over the ship like a shroud. It was on a night much like any other that the first sign of trouble appeared, a faint, otherworldly song that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the ocean itself. The sailors whispered fearfully amongst themselves, their eyes wide with terror as the haunting melody drifted across the waves. Captain Blackwood ordered his men to ignore the sound, to focus on their duties and keep the ship on course. But try as they might, the song wormed its way into their minds, filling them with a sense of longing they could not shake. As the night wore on, the song grew louder, more insistent, until it seemed to surround the ship on all sides. The crew worked frantically to block out the sound, but it was no use. The siren's call had taken hold, and there was no escaping its grip. With a sinking feeling in his heart, Captain Blackwood realized the truth. The rumors were true, and they had sailed straight into the domain of the sirens, ancient creatures of the deep, whose beautiful voices lured sailors to their deaths. Desperate to break free from the sirens' hold, Captain Blackwood ordered the crew to change course, to steer away from the source of the song and towards safer waters. But try as they might, the ship seemed drawn inexorably towards the sound, as if guided by some unseen force. As dawn broke on the horizon, the crew gathered on deck, their faces pale and drawn with exhaustion. The siren's song had not abated, its haunting melody echoing through the air like a funeral dirge. Captain Blackwood knew they could not withstand much more. Their only hope lay in finding a way to silence the sirens once and for all. Gathering his most trusted men, Captain Blackwood hatched a daring plan: to dive into the depths of the ocean and confront the sirens face to face. Armed with harpoons and blades, they would venture into the unknown, risking their lives to save the rest of the crew from certain doom. With grim determination, the men donned their diving gear and plunged into the icy waters below. The ocean closed in around them, swallowing them whole as they descended into the murky depths. As they swam deeper and deeper, the song grew louder, more intoxicating, threatening to pull them under with its seductive power. But the men pressed on, their hearts filled with resolve as they neared the source of the sound. And then, suddenly, they saw them, beings of ethereal beauty, their bodies shimmering like liquid silver in the dim light of the ocean depths. The sirens turned towards the intruders, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light as they unleashed their deadly song upon them. The men fought valiantly, their blades flashing in the darkness as they battled the sirens with all their might. But for every creature they struck down, two more seemed to take its place, their voices weaving together in a cacophony of death and despair. Just as all seemed lost, Captain Blackwood spotted something glinting in the darkness, a massive, ancient anchor buried deep within the ocean floor. With a surge of hope, he realized what he must do. Signaling to his men, Captain Blackwood led them towards the anchor, their lungs burning with the need for air as they fought against the current. With one final desperate effort, they reached the anchor and began to pull with all their strength, wrenching it free from the ocean floor with a deafening groan. As the anchor broke free, the ocean seemed to tremble with the force of their victory. The siren's song faltered, their voices growing weaker as the anchor rose towards the surface. With a mighty heave, Captain Blackwood and his men hauled the anchor aboard the Leviathan, the weight of their triumph heavy upon their shoulders. As the anchor was hoisted onto the deck, a deafening silence fell over the ship, broken only by the sound of the wind and the gentle lapping of the waves against the hull. The sirens had been silenced at last, their deadly song vanquished by the bravery of men. But as Captain Blackwood looked out at the vast expanse of the ocean before him, he knew that their victory had come at a great cost. For he had seen firsthand the power of the sirens, and he knew that they would always be out there, lurking beneath the waves, waiting to ensnare unwary sailors in their deadly embrace. And so, with a heavy heart, Captain Blackwood set sail once more, his eyes fixed on the horizon as the Leviathan disappeared into the mist, leaving behind the haunted waters where the siren's call still echoed in the night.